fish artist now, although I have been fishing since took the boys fishing. You got problems with the she can still get it. Oh no. This only all this for If any of you young men are here for scouting purposes this evening, we have a sign-up sheet in the middle of the room. We'd like you to get your troop number and your name so we can add it to the minutes of the meeting. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the American Fork City Council meeting for July the 12th of 2016. Our agenda has been posted online as required by state law. We will follow that agenda this evening. We'd like to begin this evening with the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a prayer by our Fire Chief, Chris Garcia, after which I will conduct a roll call. Would the audience please rise?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, as we come before you this opening of the council meeting, we're grateful for have the opportunity to discuss local issues. We're grateful for having the freedom to be able to meet here today. Please bless us with the desire to make decisions that will best befall the citizens of this great city. Father, please watch over those men and women who are protecting us tonight, that they'll be able to complete their duties in safety. And we say these things in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Chief. We'll now conduct a roll call. Councilman Barnes?
Here.
Councilman Bowen?
Present. Pathway.
Councilman Frost?
Here.
Councilman Shelton?
Here.
Councilman Shorter?
Here.
We have a quorum and can conduct the business of the community this evening. At this time, we take a moment or two and recognize those young men that are here for scouting purposes, that need it for a merit badge or an advancement, to have to attend a community meeting. I'd like them to come forward this time and introduce themselves, tell us their name and their rank and their troop number, please.
My name is Hiram Jackson. I'm a Life Scout, Troop 814.
Thank you.
I'm Nate Jackson. I'm first class and Troop 832.
Thank you.
I'm Mitchell Wilson. I'm a Life Scout, and my troop is 821.
Thank you. We wish you young men well as you go along scouting's trail. As you're working toward that Eagle rank, we would ask you if you have an idea of a project that would benefit our city, we would greatly appreciate it. If you need to prove you at tonight's meeting, you go to American Fork City's website, put in tonight's meeting for council meeting, and you'll find your name and your troop number in the minutes. That's why I had you stand and introduce yourself. Then you can prove to your advisor or counselor that you were here this evening. Again, good luck and congratulations. We're happy to have you with us. It's that time in our meeting we set aside in every one of our public meetings to address issues from our citizens. If anyone would like to come forward at this time, I have had 3 papers turned in. Mr. Dennis Thorne, would you be first, sir?
You need my address, or?
No.
Oh, you got it there?
We don't care what scout troop you're in either, Dennis.
Well, I'm a veteran, though. Hey, I'm a veteran. I'll be in that scout troop. I just love to kick off meetings. We've been here about a year, I guess. I was telling one of the councilmen, and we're living over here by the temple over there. And when we got into that housing development, when you want to call it an HOA or a PUD or whatever, it was drawn up with a bike path going right through there. And then, of course, in the development, people, one of them went bankrupt, the developers and stuff, and then it just kind of got forgotten. When I came there, I saw it on the paper, and I said, why don't we put that bike trail in? And these pictures, I think most of you have got that. You see the hill, now it's just a bunch of dirt there, and that's what we want it to look like, plus it would have the path going down the middle of the grass. The second one shows exactly where it is. The green is the grass. The brown is American Heritage, and then the temple there, so you get a better idea of where it is. And the third one shows all the bike paths and the trails and things around town. And I know in here, I've got this section 8 of the, the bicycle and pedestrian, see if I can read my writing, master plan from 2013. And I guess I don't know how many are done. I haven't lived here that long and everything. I've seen them around town as I go. But if you see the red circle there, that's where we are, and that's the path we want to put in. And I made yellow dots from all the other, all the schools that are around, 6 schools within a 1.5 mile radius. So as I read this, it says funding for bicycle and pedestrian programs and infrastructure is administered at all levels of government. So that's why the HOA sent me here, because I said, let's do the bike path. And they said, well, are there funds available, or are we going to have to pay it all? Some of the programs, let's see if I wrote them down here, that was mentioned in here. I'm not good at trying to figure out who, where you send your letter to apply for it, but they called it, one in here is congestion mitigation program. There's the transportation alternative having to do with bikes, getting people off the roads and onto bikes. The RTC is the River Trail Conservation Program. RTP is the Recreational Trail Program. The one that I'm going to kind of focus on is the SRTS, and in here it explains it again, Section 8. And that stands for Safe Routes to School. So, and I think that's a federal program. I don't know. I guess what I'm doing is I'm here to say, is the city have any program that we should tap into, or do we have to, go with a federal program? And some of them are pretty lengthy. Some of them, one of them just closed recently within the last couple of weeks, and now you have to. That was for 17, and now we have to wait and apply for 18. And I understand that the city has made their, I think, that their, the financial plan for 17 already? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I heard that when I went to the city office. So if you can, tell me anything, help me, and then I'll take it back to our group of homeowners there, and we'd like to improve the bicycle path that goes through our property. The last page on there, I didn't mention that. You can kind of see the legal descriptions and stuff. And where the arrow is pointing, it says it's a reserve for dedication, meaning that's what it's supposed to be on that.
That was an easement that was given to the city by the Alt family when the property was annexed and brought in for development. And as you can see, it is on our master trails plan. We have many plans for trails that are not constructed, and as development occurs, we will work toward getting those. You are correct that the Safe Sidewalk System of Trails is a program, and in Utah it's administered by Utah Department of Transportation, and the first thing is to get that on the school's safe walking route.
Yeah.
So if there's a school in the vicinity, that has to be identified by the PTA as a safe walking route, and then the city can apply for state and federal funds, and the city will match those funds in order to put that trail in. So.
Part of the funding comes from the state.
Yes,
the other
sir.
part,
From the city.
do the private individuals, if they're working in that trail
We
plan?
are always happy to get private individuals involved in their neighborhood to make things better. So,
And I'll push for that.
Adam,
yeah.
anything you want to add about that trail plan? That hasn't changed. It's still the way it was when Temple Meadows subdivision came in.
Yeah, I can just give a brief background. When the subdivision went in, the city obtained an easement for future trail purposes. It is shown on our Trails Master Plan. It will ultimately connect from Murdoch Canal all the way down past the hospital and then down to the Southern Rail Trail. So it's a regional in our city, a regional trail. So it's in our network, and we've had the easement for a number of years. It's just the original developer went bankrupt, and so it was never finished. And so the easement exists, but the trail has never been put in. And so he's been in our office a time or two. We've talked a few times, and you know, just some of the options, whether or not.
When does Jim Price's cycle of federal funds open up again?
I believe it's 2 years. Mm-hmm. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So that's something that
From
we
now,
can put
yeah.
on the plan, to ask for federal funds in 2 years to complete that portion of the trail?
Potentially, I mean, Nestor and I could look at that. We have to show that it makes connections. Right now, there are no connections on either side, but
That
that's
trail
something we
goes
can
through
look
Temple
at.
Meadows, though, doesn't it?
It does, but meaning it stops on the north and stops on the south. There's
Of
no
Temple
existing
Meadows.
trail
Okay.
on either side.
I was just
So-
going to add, Adam, I think that we will have that trail maybe in 2 years because that development to the north is going in there. Is that right?
Yeah,
So we
that-
could
the
have that
development to the
connection
north,
to
that would be an
Murdoch Canal.
extension there. And yeah, I guess in theory, you could say it does go down to 7th North. So on the north, there is a connection there right now. I stand corrected on that.
So if we do get that put in, because you're going to have that smart family annexation that's coming in and putting that trail
Mhm.
in, then we could be able to connect to that and say there's connections.
Potentially, yeah, we
Okay.
could talk to Jim and look at that and see, but also if there's, you know, when the city's budget rolls around, if that's something that we feel is important to the city, we can
Let's look
push
at
that
and
forward
see
as
what
well,
we
too.
can do at the next time
So-
we can apply for federal funds
We'll
through
do that.
MAG.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Adam's up there.
Adam Olson,
I can work with.
you can work with him, sir. Okay.
Thank you, I
Thank you,
appreciate it.
Mr. Thorne. Appreciate your comments. I have a request here from Regent Shelley to make some comments. Mr. and Mrs. Shelley, please.
Okay, I'm Reed Shelley. This is my wife, Shelley. She does get a kick out of that, but no, I just want to take over the past year. We've been working with the city as far as doing annexation, building, engineering, planning, and all that. We just want to thank the mayor, city council, and former city councilman. Was it just Clark Taylor was the only other one? That's what I thought. But anyway, just to thank you guys to help us get through the process and for the help that we've had, and just appreciate the help and glad to be here.
Well, we appreciate you and the work you've done. You've got the best-looking fence on 50 South, so I want you to know that.
Just trying to keep Little Country in the city is what we're doing.
Thank you.
It's well, I appreciate what you do too, Reed. Your contribution to our parade last Saturday was greatly appreciated. Glade Gordon has a comment to make. Mr. Gordon.
Mayor and city council members, I approached the city engineering department approximately last August or September with a request that they look into improving a sign placement on my road where I try to turn into my driveway on 300 North. And as you all know, between Center Street and First East, it's a very busy intersection right there at 300 North and First East. And as I try to make a right turn into my driveway, if I'm coming from the west, to pass me on the right. And there have been many times I've nearly T-boned people right there. I'm concerned about it. Last night I had this happen to me again. And I have kept track of count on this. And there's been 17 times since last August and September where we've had a problem. I went to the Public Works Department and talked to the engineer, and they said that they would figure out and come up and look at it and evaluate it and see if they could get a sign back further that might indicate that people shouldn't pass on the right to get into the right-hand turn lane. The right-hand turn lane doesn't start until after my driveway and my neighbor's driveway on the corner. And it is a real hazard. It's a real problem. My neighbor is Spanish descent. He doesn't have good English and on the corner, and he asked if I would, when I went, I would express my concern for him too. because he has trouble getting into his driveway. It may sound like a petty thing, but it is a real problem. And the fact that they cut the curb in when they put the light on that corner and there is no parking strip, and you all know what the parking strip is, where the grass is between the sidewalk and the curb, when they cut that out, then it makes people feel like they can just pass anywhere they want and pass on the right, and it's dangerous. Even last night at 10 o'clock at night, I was coming home from Lehigh, and I came out 3rd North and had my signal on, and a young man in a truck that was a little bit too rambunctious and a little bit heavy on the pedal decided that I was going too slow, and my signal was on to go into my driveway, and he passed me on the right, and I nearly hit him. And I'm just very concerned. So because I had done that, I'm just wanting to know if the city council could, or whoever's in charge of that park, could just look at it and see if they could check with the city engineers and if we can rectify this. And I'm sure I'm not the only street where this happens. There's probably other places in town. So,
All right, thank you, Glade. Mr. Gallo, what kind of a sign would you put on a collector class road?
First of all, my name is Nestor Gallo, the city.
Nice to meet you.
I'm very sorry I didn't know anything about that.
Oh, okay.
Well, we can do a site distance study and make sure that that intersection is safe.
Could you?
Yes, absolutely. I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
After that.
Okay.
But I'm going to give you my contact information, so
That's,
we'll get busy tomorrow.
okay, that's great.
All right, Nestor, thank you
Thank
very
you very
much.
much. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon. Anyone else want to make comments to the mayor, the council, or the senior staff tonight at the meeting? All right, we'll close the public comment portion of the meeting. We'll go to council reports concerning committee assignments. Councilman Barnes.
Due to still days and everything else, our meetings were all scheduled earlier, so I don't have anything specific to report on that, but there are 2 items that I think I would like to address. We hold a wonderful celebration every year in Steel Days, and again this year it was a wonderful celebration. It involved a lot of people, and I was able to attend a number of different events. I thought they went very, very well, and I guess one of the things that impressed me the most, and I want to say thank you to all of them, are the number of people that volunteer and, as far as I know, get no money out of this, get very little praise and very little glory, but they are glad to do it and do what they're asked to do and contribute in many, many ways to help that event be a good event, to come off the way it should, and to just help with our community. And so my first item is to just thank all those who had anything to do with any of the Steel Days events. I'm not going to list any because I'll miss way too many, so I'll just say a big thank you to all of them from me. And I do that 2 ways. I do that personally, and I also do that as a member of the city council. Second thing, I'm also going to do 2 ways, and that's the cemetery. Doggone it, we've been in the news again, and it wasn't all good news. But because of the monument that was spray painted on, because of the attachment I have in particular to that monument, but to the cemetery, I was invited to get involved and to follow it and to find out what was taking place. And just again want to thank all those that had anything to do with getting things taken care of. The monument looks good now. I was there for part of the cleaning, for part of the sandblasting. some of you know this face showed up on TV again last night. I don't do this to get on TV. Sam Penrod is a wonderful guy, and he's pretty hard to turn down. And I think he presents our city in a very fair and honest way, and did a wonderful job of reporting what was going on. So I want to thank all of the people that were directly involved in the cemetery. And with that, I wrote down police. That's one of those jobs that people do that they don't always get the recognition they need. And most of what you do in a job like that, if you do it right, nobody ever knows you did it. It's totally not in front of the public. And so I appreciate what they did in relation to the cemetery and their activities there in particular. And then with the parade, that's a lot of work. That whole week is a lot of work as they close down roads so we can run little cars down the hill and do all of the other things that they do. And I think they present themselves very professionally, but they are also friendly and they are cordial. They are not aloof, and they relate very well to the people of this city and this community. So I just wanted to give a little proverbial shout out to the police, and in particular for their efforts on those couple of items.
Thank you for that report. Councilman Bowen?
Yeah, just I'll echo the thank you. I know there was a lot of volunteer hours and effort put in, including by our council representative, and I'm thankful for all of those efforts. Our beautification committee was involved, as you know, in the garden tour, had the opportunity to go to those homes, and I'm thankful for the effort that those private homeowners put in also, which is a significant effort. You know, you figure if you're going to have people from throughout the community coming through your yard, you're going to go to some extra effort to make sure it looks tip-top. And I noticed that and saw that, and also a lot of these people take their time to be available for the 2 days basically when people are coming through. And I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for their efforts and their willingness to open up their yards, and some of them were very impressive. All of them had their things that were quite unique and worth seeing, so I appreciated that. And that is my report. I also enjoyed being in the parade.
Thank you. Councilman Frost.
And I'm thinking of what's happened in our city since we've met last, and some wonderful things. And you guys are going to have to be bored with a little redundancy, and I know that there's probably thousands of people watching us as well. But you know, we had our lifeguards with quick reaction and training when they saved a life up at the rec center, along with our EMTs. Now your point, was it him? Oh, I just saw you pointing like it was him. If it was him, I was going to stand up and clap for you. So, but what a wonderful thing that some of our staff was cognizant to see that, and they saved the life of a little boy. And then still days. I know firsthand what it takes to try to pull off a party for, you know, an entire community, and all the hard work and all the hard work leading up to it. And I appreciate Councilman Shelton for taking a lead on this and working with an incredible staff. And I'll say what I've said probably for the last 4 years. If we had $1 for every smile that we saw on the face of a child, we would have enough to fix every road in our city. Because there were smiles everywhere I went. And I felt unity with my community. I felt love for my neighbors. I saw our public works people in action. And it's just a great event. And going down that parade route, I was scattering candy with the best of them. I just kept asking the kids, "Are you cheering for me or a piece of taffy?" And they assured me it was me. So I believe them. So, but anyway, what a great thing and a great tribute to our city to just have a week this to ourselves and to just have fun and to celebrate. And then one other thing I did want to make note of by way of assignment is that Fox Hollow Golf Course just today finished co-hosting, I should say, the Utah State Amateur Tournament. Now that is not a small thing. It's probably the biggest golfing tournament in the state of Utah. And they were chosen along with Alpine Country Club because of just the grounds, the way that it looks, its location, and all the other things that make a golf course great. And I think that I went, was up there, watched a little bit. I denied being in it because I was just too busy, of course. But I'm just kidding. You had to be asked to be in. It was the best of the amateurs in this whole entire state. So anyway, kudos goes to our golf course, their staff, for making it presentable and having the reputation to be able to be considered in that tournament. So anyway, just a good 2 weeks to be in American Fork. Thank you.
Thanks for that report, Councilman. Councilman Shelton.
Thanks, Mayor. It was a fun-filled week this last week with Still Days, and I just really wanted to thank staff publicly. I know I've thanked my committee quite a few times and probably never thanked them enough for the hard work and dedication, but particularly with staff. And I'd ask those directors that are here to pass it on to your staff members of how awesome it was to work with them. I going to joke with Chief Garcia that I probably ought to get a badge for firefighting for as many fires that we put out this last week. But it was great to be able to work with staff that when we needed something that wasn't in the plan or in the works, they were all very willing to help out. And it's just great to see how many people can rally together. It makes me wonder why in the world Brad Frost ever ran for election again, because after being over that committee, it's a big task, and it'd be enough to maybe make someone second guess that decision. So he had it for 4 years, so he did a lot to lay the groundwork. My goal and plan is that we'll debrief with all the directors of the departments that were involved, as well as the committee. We'll put together a formal report and kind of bring that back together in about a month and a half, and once the finances have settled out, and kind of give a formal report on Still Days. So thanks for everyone involved, and it was a fun-filled week.
Thanks for that report, Council, and thanks for your leadership with the Steel Days Committee. Councilman Shorter.
I'd like to also echo what's happened before and just a couple of other things. Our youth dance on Thursday, the youth don't dance much, but at 14, they really don't dance much. But it was a good event, and Monica Lish, our American Fork Youth City Council mayor, did a great job, and she's been great for the last 3-4 years. She's done a great job. So the other thing is I really enjoyed the art show at the library. It's amazing how many things are going on that you're not aware of them, but I went over there and looked through the art, and our citizens are talented, and all those who put art in there, it was a great experience for me. Last Monday we had the Ryan Shoup Rubber Band at the Quail Center at American Fork at the Quail Cove. There are a lot of great bands up there. This last night we had Foreign Figures. Next week's going to be Mountain Country, and then the week after that's Red Desert Ramblers. They're free to the public at 7 o'clock at the Quail Cove Theater, so get the word out there to people that it's a great activity for a family. Wide variety of music, all kinds of different music. Some you may not like quite as much as other music. I know some of the older citizens left, and some of the other ones are tapping their toes, so I guess you just never know who's going to really like the music. But it's a good experience. It's a great location. Quail Cove is a great place to have dances. And then yesterday I met with the Arts Council, and they're well on their way in planning to use the park taxes as they indicated they would in getting equipment, chairs, and other things that'll be helpful to kind of wean themselves from the Alpine School District and have their own location, their own way to put on their performances. And that's all I have to report tonight, Mayor.
Thanks for that report, Councilman. In my haste to move the meeting along, I forgot the City Administrator's report. Mr. Whitehead, would you report, sir?
I will. Thank you. I actually had now echoing what everybody said about Steel Days, but I specifically wanted to acknowledge staff and recognize their contribution. You did a great job, as Rob alluded to, so I just want to recognize them. Thanks.
Appreciate that, sir. For the mayor's report, I too will thank the staff and the many volunteers that made Steel Days work. It's funny when you have that big of an operation going on, that many people are volunteering, and how you kept them all together, Rob, is amazing to me. I'd like to report also that mention was made of a near drowning at our recreation center. I've asked Derek to report to me, and we'll have those 2 lifeguards present at our next meeting, and we'll recognize them for their fast action and their training and behavior that helped them. I'll mention that on the 4th of August, our Tri-Chamber area will have a meeting. I think they call it the Stone Gate. It's the old church house in Manila. That is now a reception center, and that Stone Gate will be where Jason Chaffetz will come, visit with the 3 chambers, the Tri-Chamber area, and answer questions and discuss his platform in Washington. So if any of you have political ambitions and want to listen to Jason Chaffetz, the 4th of August at 12 noon at the old Manila Church House. That completes that portion. We'll now move on to our common consent agenda. We have approval of the June 23rd, 2016 work session minutes, approval of the June 28th, 2016 City Council minutes, approval of city bills for payment, manually prepared checks, and purchase requests over $25,000. We have approval of a progress release for the performance guarantee bond in the amount of $215,924.08 for the Roberts Roost Twin Home Subdivision located at 190 West, 350 South. And lastly, approval of progress release for the performance guarantee bond in the amount of $31,054.02 for the Anderson Cove Subdivision located 825 East, 300 North. Is there a motion to approve the common consent agenda as presented?
So moved, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Shorter. Do I hear a second? Second. I have a motion and a second. I'll call for a council. Would you vote on your tablets for your common consent agenda, please? We have 4 in the affirmative. Motion carries. We action items this evening. We have review and action on an award of a contract for the Utah Valley Drive project to Kilgore Construction Company. This is the Bullmag and to overlay Utah Valley Drive through the business park. Any questions on this item? Mr. Goodman is here and can answer your questions if you have questions regarding this item. This is one that's been on our radar for some time. We've done some drainage improvement. We've done some work on fiber optic cable, and we are now going to do some repair by overlaying that road. The majority of that money comes from the RDA that prepared for this. Is that correct?
That was the original intent, Mayor, was to use money from the RDA, but rule changes have made that not possible. So most of that money is now coming from our B&C and from road accrual. Okay.
All right.
And that is the reason we had to put it off until after July 1st.
I stand corrected.
Were they rule changes that we made to the RDA or that the state made?
State legislature.
State legislature made the changes.
Then was Kilgore the low bid?
Yes, it was.
And you're comfortable with their ability to complete the job?
They're a great company to work with.
Yes.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to accept the bid submitted by Kilgore for the construction of Utah Valley project in the amount of $946,592.06 and authorize staff to proceed with the preparation of contract documents.
Thank you for that motion, Councilman Shelton. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Shorter. Any questions on this motion?
Just a comment, Mayor. I'm glad to see it done. I know when we did some RDA work a year ago with the lines and stuff, we discussed having the road done at that time too, and I think it's a road that does need improvement. So I'm glad we're able to do that.
Okay. Hearing no further comment, I'll ask you, council, to vote using your tablets, please.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like a minute to go talk to Terry Lynn about this thing called a computer over here. It's a problem I continue to have, Terry Lynn, in that I cannot go to pages that I want to go to. Do you remember we may have discussed that before?
Okay.
So I try and go read what we're talking about, and it keeps kicking me back to the first page, and it annoys me. Sorry.
All right. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. I'll move on to action item number 2. Item 2, review and action on Morrissey's Orchard Subdivision Homeowners Association dedication of the groundwater drainage system and assignment of maintenance obligation to the city. Mr. Goodman, can you address this one for us, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor and council members, the Marcy's Orchard subdivision, the agreement that we had with the developer was that they would put in a groundwater drainage system. That system was installed per the requirement from the city engineer. And at this point, we are accepting responsibility to maintain that system. So it's pipe in the ground, there are manholes. We will do any cleaning that needs to be done to make sure that the water can flow. I suspect there will probably never be any water in those pipes, just because there is such good drainage in that area
Part of the
already.
requirement put on the developer was to pipe the ditch known as MacArthur Ditch, and that was a sizable distance and a pretty good-sized pipe, and there was also a pond on the south end that in the event that we had high water in the American Fork River coming down the MacArthur Ditch, then it would go into our piped irrigation system, and with that drainage pond at the bottom end, it was the city's agreement that if you build it, we will maintain it. And so
Correct.
we're keeping up our end of an agreement that was made at the time the development was approved.
That's correct. The detention basin, generally in these kind of instances, the detention basin is maintained by the HOA, but the drainage structures out of the detention basin we maintain, so that the water can't actually get out. But they mow the
With
lawns.
Marcy's Orchard, he gave us room to put the sign that says, "Welcome to Art Dyke Park," and the pond is there with it, and the sign and all that.
That's correct.
So we are mowing the grass and maintaining that
correct.
as we do the work on our parks.
Mayor, I'd move to approve the Marcy's Orchard Subdivision Homeowner Association dedication of the groundwater drainage system, assignment of maintenance obligation of said, let's see, where am I here? Of said underground utility to the American Fork City Public Works Department.
I appreciate that motion, Councilman Shorter. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilman Shelton. Any questions on this motion? Council, will you vote using your tablets, please? Motion is unanimous. Thank you. We'll move on to item number 3, review and action on subdivisions, commercial projects, condominiums, and planned unit developments, including 1, plat approval, 2, method of satisfaction of water rights requirements, 3, posting of an improvement bond or setting of a time frame for an improvement installation, and 4, authorization to sign the final plat and acceptance of all dedications to the public and to have the plat recorded. We have 2 such projects this evening. Number A, review and action on a final plat of Edwards Family Subdivision consisting of 5 lots and a remainder parcel located in near 850 East, 50 South in the R3 7500 residential zone.
Mayor, I'd move to approve the final plat of the Edwards Family Subdivisions consisting of 5 lots and a remainder parcel located in the area of 850 East, 50 South in the R3-7500 residential zone, and authorize the mayor and the city council to sign the plat and accept the dedications with instruction to the city recorder to withhold recording of the plat, subject to all conditions identified in the public record. With the June 22nd, 2016 Plan Commission meeting.
Thank you for that motion, Councilman Shorter. Do I hear a second? Seconded by Councilman Frost. Any questions on this motion?
Just on the remainder parcel, they're able to develop that also?
Yes, sir.
Great.
This is down along our Bangor Road, and at one time it was being considered for a commercial project that would accommodate professional offices for dentists or doctors or whatever, and I don't think they have that finalized at this point in time and don't have development plans until they get those finalized. Is that your understanding, Adam? Thank you. I got a nod in the positive from the planner. Hearing no further comment, I would ask the council to vote using your tablets, please. Motion is unanimous. Thank you. Item 3B, review and action on the final plat for CVS American Fork Plaza Subdivision Number 2, consisting of 2 lots located in the area of 475 East Elm Street in the GC1 General Commercial Zone. CVS Pharmacy built on lot number 1. They have a residual parcel. They've now subdivided it, gone through the subdivision process, and they now have lot 2 that they would like to sell for a commercial venture. Any questions on this one?
If you want to bring that motion up, I'm happy to do it. I just can't read it on mine.
I can't read any of them.
I move to approve the final plat for CVS American Fork Plaza Subdivision Number 2, consisting of 2 lots located in the area of 475 East Elm Street in the GC1 General Commercial Zone, and to authorize the mayor and city council to sign the plat and accept the dedication with instructions to the city recorder to withhold recording of the plat, subject to all conditions identified in the public record associated with the June 22nd, 2016 Planning Commission meeting.
Thank you for that motion, Councilman Frost. Is there a second? Thank you, Councilman Bowen, for that motion. A second. Any questions on this one? Hearing none, I'll ask the council to use your tablets to vote, please. Motion is unanimous. Thank you. Item 4, review and action on an ordinance amending Title 15 of the American Fork City Code entitled Building and Construction. What this does is brings our building code in compliance with the 2015 National Code regarding fires. Is that correct, Chief?
It's fire, electrical, building department, it's all the codes that the
All of the building codes for the 2015 National Code.
Mayor, I move to approve the ordinance amending Title 15 of the American Fork City Code entitled Buildings and Construction, specifically adopting the 2015 International Building Code, the 2014 National Electric Code, the 2015 International Plumbing Code, 2015 Mechanical Code, 2015 International Fire Code, including all appendices, 2015 International Energy Conservation Code, 2015 International Residential Code, and the 2015 International Fuel Gas Code.
Thank you for that motion, Councilman Shorter. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Frost. Any questions on this motion?
I just had a question, Mayor. Was there a summary of the differences between the previous code and the new code?
It's voluminous. It takes
You
6
couldn't
months.
carry those volumes to do the study on them, but what it does, it brings them up to current date.
Yeah, I don't know if the people that publish the different codes do some kind of summary like that, but if they do, or even if they don't, I think it'd be useful for the council to have that in our packet when we vote on these every year, just to understand what we're updating.
It's thousands of pages.
Well, the code itself is, the changes are also?
They're pretty extensive. I'll be glad to give you access to it and you can look at them.
Yeah, no worry, just for next year, I'm just suggesting a
Very good.
summary would be nice.
We have a motion and a second. Council, would you vote using your tablets, please? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 5, review and action on a resolution authorizing and ratifying all or part of employee required contributions within the contributory contributory retirement plan with the Utah Retirement System, URS. I'm told that this is a requirement of the state law that we must pass a resolution every year that commits the city to pay our portion of the state retirement system for city employees. I will read this resolution. A resolution of the City Council with the City of American Fork, Utah, authorizing and ratifying payment of all or part of employee required contributions within the contributory retirement plan with the Utah Retirement Systems. Whereas the City of American Fork, the city, has determined that it is in the public interest of the city to pay all of the employees' required contributions within the retirement plan maintained by the city with the Utah Retirement Systems, and whereas Utah Retirement Systems and the Internal Revenue Service require a formal documentation of the election of the city to pay the employees' required contributions in addition to the documentation provided in the annual city budgets, and whereas the City Council of American Fork intends to document the election of American Fork City to pay all of the employee required contributions within the contributory retirement plan maintained by the Utah Retirement System as provided in each annual budget of American Fork City. Now therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of American Fork hereby specifically authorizes payment of all of these required contributions on behalf of the employees by the employer within the contributory and non-contributory retirement plans maintained with the Utah Retirement System for American Fork City employees. Adopted by the City Council of American Fork, Utah, this 12th day of July 2016, American Fork City, James H. Hadfield, Mayor. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the resolution specifically authorizing payment of all the employees' retired contributions within the contributory retirement plan maintained with the Utah Retirement Service System for the American Fork City employees.
Thank you for that motion, Councilman Shelton. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Frost. He's quick tonight. Jeff. He's quick. Any questions on this motion?
I had a question. Is this required then because we do payroll deduction for the employees part of their contribution to the retirement system? Or is it, and then we're remitting those funds back to the state retirement system? Or is this for the city's portion? Because in the resolution it talks about it being for the employees' portion. I just wanted to clarify that. Or is there an employee portion, I guess is the question.
The American Fork City employees are given certain funds in a cafeteria plan, but what this is saying to us, and I ask the staff to go to the state and see where it's written in state law. And the response I got, Terry Lynn, would you repeat that, please? That it was too hard to describe. Please call me. I can't show it to you, but I can tell you about it. And then we've been trying to get back with the lady, and she's been on vacation. So it's one of the things that the legislature has put on us, because they say if you put it in your budget, you have to pay it. You can't back out of it and leave the employees hanging dry. And that's what the purpose of this resolution is.
We're in a non-contributory system, so employees do not contribute. The city contributes percentage, depending on which group you're in, to the URS.
So this isn't like a 401k or something like that. This is okay, that's separate. This is the city's pension plan basically through the Utah retirement system, and this is the city contributing the required portion for each employee basically.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Mayor, I'm gonna be a little flippant on this. Words have meaning to me, and at the start of it, it says pay all or part. I suggest we only pay 10% and the state pay the rest. I am really confused that an attorney would let all or part, but I'm not blaming you, that all or part would be put in something like this when in fact we are required to pay all of our portion, if I understand this right, Craig?
Right.
So I'm not going to vote against it. I'm surprised at the wording is what I'm saying. And I think in the future it needs to be looked at closer.
That's what I got from the state, and I haven't had my questions answered yet either.
I understand. We probably have a time deadline to get it approved, so we've got to do it.
We do have a ratified budget that shows what we are going to put toward employee contributions over the next year. Okay.
Well, it sounds like we have something to hold over the employees' heads now, right? For this part. Just kidding.
I have a motion and a second. Council, would you vote using your tablets, please? Motion is unanimous. Thank you. And the one item you've all came to see this evening, number 6, adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Shorter. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilman Frost. I'll do a voice vote on this one. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We will adjourn.
Barbie, you just can't stay.